you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Kane's Ware at Miami Fanware in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your InterMiamiCF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or InterMiamiWear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Kane's Ware, the spot where InterMiami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. Time for Canes fans to get what they want. Information, insight, and perspective. It's the Canes Ware Miami Hurricanes Report with Manny Navarro, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Here's Big O and insider Manny Navarro.
All right, we are getting ready. It is game day. Yes, sir. Miami taking on Miami of Ohio. Good morning, Manny. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, O. How are you?
A little nervous because, see, here's the twisted part about this. Last night, I'm looking at the Gators flop, Gator flop, right? And the Gator flop over again, right? And so the Gators are losing to Utah, getting their ass kicked, and I'm laughing. I'm sitting there. I'm going. So I wake up this morning, and I'm thinking, we'll have some fun with the Gators. And then I looked, the line went from 17 to 16.5 against Miami of Ohio. I'm going, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? So I also have to say I can laugh at the Gators, but I also don't want to be like crying in my beer at the end of the night tonight.
Yeah, man. Listen, I try to remind people. I'm trying to remind people, that Miami's lost 5 home games in a row. Okay, like they're coming off of that. Like that's something that's still very real, my friend, and it shouldn't be, right? Obviously, we know that's not the way this program was built, but it's a reality. It's a reality they face going into tonight's game. And Mario has worked his ass off to flip this roster, to change his coaching staff, to change the entire culture. But we still got to see what these guys do when they come out. And I will say this, Tyler Van Dyke, he was banged up most of last year. So that was obviously a big reason. And we've heard, right, that he's probably dealing with a thumb or some sort of a hand ailment, that he got hit late in practice. It's going to be very interesting to see what this offense looks like at the start. Do they just come out and run the football? Are they firing the ball around? Is Tyler just Tyler, or is he limited? If he's limited, well, I wouldn't bet the over on 17. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm like, I want to laugh at the Gators, but then I'm going, my God, if they lose to Miami of Ohio tonight. And these are things like that would never cross my mind years ago, but because of what's happened over the last few years, it's almost like it sucks that you can't take anything for granted or feel real confident going into this game. You know what I mean? Because you're like, okay, we know Miami has better talent, but you still have to put it together. And last year, we just didn't see that team put it together. And that's why I would say that tonight is more about Mario and his staff than anything
100%.
else, because you got to win, but you also got to look, professional, dude. You got to look like you're organized. You got to look like, you know what you're doing out there. What you don't want to see, even in an ugly win, is a team that made a whole bunch of mistakes and had penalties and then did just enough to win the game and get past Miami of Ohio. And you're like, yeah, this isn't, much progress. You won, basically on talent.
Yeah.
I need to see a structured, fundamental win tonight is what I'd like to see against Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know that Tyler Van Dyke has to throw the football everywhere and throw for 300-something yards in this offense. I want to see them push Miami of Ohio around at the line of scrimmage. I think that's the most important thing. You've completely overhauled the offensive line. You've brought in more guys in the defensive line that you like. So this is the kind of game where you're in Power 4 school. You should dominate a Group of 5 school up front. Whether that leads to a 21, 28, 35-point victory or a comfortable win where you win by 14 to 17 points, but you're always in control, I think it's more about style. I think you're absolutely right, O. It's what kind of way does Miami win tonight? Is it scratching and clawing for their lives? Do you see the same sort of mistakes you saw from Florida last night, where they're, crucial penalties, special teams gaffes, just bad mistakes? You don't want to see that from this Miami team. You're hoping that Mario has cleaned a lot of that up. They were one of the most penalized teams in the country last year. They got to fix that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even want to see a sloppy win today. I want to see a football team that is playing with what I expect from freaking Mario, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I expect from Mario. I expect discipline. I expect a smart football team out there. That's what I want to see for me. You're supposed to beat Miami of Ohio. So I'm not supposed to be impressed that you beat Miami of Ohio. I mean, that's how far our expectations have fallen? No, I want to see a real win that looks like a football team that is making progress and is not screwing things up all over the place. You're watching that Florida game yesterday. I mean, that thing was
well. The Gators facing tough environment. I will say this for them: tough environment. They were facing the two-time defending Pac-12 champions. But you're right. I mean, you're at home. It's a different situation than the Gators. This needs to look different. If they look like the Gators did and win, that's going to be troubling for the rest of the season.
What's the Pac-12?
That old conference that used to exist, though. That old one. That one on the West Coast.
Oh God! By the way, it's official. Right?
Yes.
They've added the teams now. It's official.
Yeah, Cal, Stanford, and SMU, and it's I know there are Miami fans that are disappointed in this because they say, why are you adding these? Why is the ACC going to these links? It's the world you live in. It's just reality, and this is more money for the conference. This is more money. Look, it's not going to be, the $55-60 million a year extra that they're getting out of ESPN for this deal. It's not going to be spread out evenly. It's not going to be majorly impactful. It's not going to make up for the $30 million gap the ACC has with the Big Ten and the SEC. But what else are you going to do to try to close the gap? And I'll say this for the people who are
long to expand, bro.
Yeah, they took too long. And here's the thing. If you're a Miami fan and you're like, well, this stinks. Well, why does it stink? You're making more money off of it. Yes, maybe now you have a trip out to San Francisco every other year to go watch them play. Maybe now you got a trip to Dallas.
Remember, it's all about Manny now.
Yes.
It's for him to San Francisco, okay? Let's not kid ourselves, okay?
This
all
is true.
About Manny now. He gets to go to Texas and he gets to go to California now. That's
the ACC had to be proactive. Because think about it this way: Florida State has basically come out and said we're leaving. Right? They've basically said that we're going somewhere else. We're either going to the Big Ten or the SEC. They're really confident that they're going to go. Clemson is probably going to go to the SEC, right, in a couple of years, whenever they figure their way out of this. Same thing with North Carolina. They were the ones that stayed against this. NC State was a school that flipped, that allowed for this to happen. So North Carolina thinks they've got a spot probably in the Big Ten. If you're Miami and you're going to stay in the ACC because maybe these other conferences aren't going to take you, maybe you just don't have a seat at the table at the SEC and Big Ten. Well, it's a good thing then that the ACC went out and added these teams, because you could end up being relegated to a G5 conference if you lose those three schools. So it's survival of the fittest at this point. The Big 12 was very proactive. They went out, they added some really good teams. Brett Yormark deserves credit for the job that he did in the face of adversity. The ACC was just slow to react, and they didn't see this happening. They just didn't see this happening. They didn't think the Pac-12 would disband. They didn't think all these other seats at the table would be taking at the Big Ten already. We don't know what those conferences are going to do moving forward. Like, the SEC might just be content. They've got a great contract. They don't need to add anybody else. So it's a very precarious situation. But I give Jim Phillips credit for this. He didn't sit on his hands, right? He did something, which is better than what happened to the Pac-12 conference.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just right, exactly. That's what could possibly happen to you in the end. But what are you going to do, man? It's just one of those deals, unfortunately, and you wish they would have acted a couple of years faster with all of this. Then they would have had, better foresight, overall, and they just had poor vision, and they have paid the price for it in a big time way. It's just It's absolutely terrible. All right, so as you delve into this game, and I think you've kind of touched on it a little bit, we're probably going to see a heavy dosage of running. Why not take care of the football? Why not work your offensive line? All these kind of things. Take care of the quarterback. Don't put him out there to take extra hits. He's already going in there. What are you expecting on the defensive side of the ball from Miami? I know this is very unfair because it's a brand new year and there's always player turnover, sometimes coaching turnover. So it's a really difficult question to ask, especially Miami of Ohio football. But what are you expecting? What is Miami of Ohio going to try to do to stifle Miami? What do you expect?
Well, first of all, even if you were to sit there and watch a bunch of film of Miami of Ohio from last year, it still wouldn't really matter because their quarterback, Gabbert, who's going to be starting this game, was only available for 4 of those games. They're a different team when he's their quarterback. They were 4-0 last season when he started. They finished 6-7 without basically without him for 8 games or 9 games of the season. So he's back. He's healthy. He's a 23-year-old guy, older guy. Mobile, makes plays on the run. This offense isn't necessarily thrilling for Miami of Ohio. They're not going to put up huge numbers, but Gabbert gives them an extra layer. It's kind of like that X factor, that playmaker that's gonna do something. So you got to be wary of him. I think for Miami's defense, this game is all about don't give up the big play. Think about it last year. Oh, how many times? I mean, forget Middle Tennessee State. I mean, there were other teams that shredded Miami with big plays, and they gave up 15 pass plays of 40 yards or more last year. That was dead last in the ACC. Like, get rid of the big play. Make them go 10 plays, 85 yards or whatever.
In the mouth too, bro.
Yeah,
They got them out that they ran the ball down their throats like the App State game that running back was pounding the crap out of.
There were a lot of teams that, I mean, Florida State, God, you don't want to watch that film again. It was horrendous. They basically kept running the same play over and over, just like North Carolina did. To me, when I break this team down, the biggest fear I have for Miami is defensive tackle and cornerback. I don't know that they necessarily upgraded those positions. You lost Daryl Jackson, who's a big-bodied guy. He transferred to FSU. He's sitting out the season because he couldn't get a waiver. And you've replaced him with Branson Dean, who was an okay starting defensive tackle at Purdue, but he wasn't dominant. And meanwhile, Leonard Taylor is a former 5-star guy, but he wasn't in the best physical condition last year. Both of those guys have to be playing at a really high level, in my opinion, for Miami's defense to be good against the run, or average even. They were average last year when you look at the numbers. If both of those guys are not seeing heavy snap counts and you're seeing a rotation, I think you're gonna. This may be a tough year on run defense for Miami, which what it all starts with run defense. You can't stop the run, you're gonna lose a lot of games. So to me, they've got to just be average. Force teams into third down situations. That's where your coordinator, Lance Guidry, really shines and excels. He brings pressure, exotic blitzes from all over the place. And so, to me, get to third down and 5 or longer, and Miami wins this game. If Miami of Ohio is facing 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1 all night, may not be a good night for Miami.
What do you know about the backup quarterback? What kind of progress is Jakari, right? I think it is
Jakari Brown,
yeah, Jakari.
Well, Emory, go ahead.
What do you know about it?
Yeah.
Again, might be a little unfair because you don't get to watch all the practice. What have you heard? Because God forbid something happens to Tyler.
Yeah.
You want the second quarterback to come in and not be limited. So what do we know about the backup situation?
I know this. I know Emory Williams is better suited to fill in for Tyler Van Dyke based on the way that they run this offense, right? Because Emory is a better pocket passer. He's got better accuracy than Jakari. I think that was evident in the spring game. It was evident in the scrimmage that they had. Jakari is an excellent athlete. Runs more than 22 miles an hour. He's the 3rd fastest player on this team. And he's a weapon. And he won you the Georgia Tech game last year. But go back and watch that Clemson film, and it's obvious that he needs to do a better job setting his feet before he throws the football. That's his problem. He's got to set his feet. He's got to stay in the pocket, deliver the ball, and not be so, hey, I'm going to make this play and that play. And so to me, I think Emory Williams is probably the first guy off the bench if something happens to Tyler tonight.
Okay. All right. Interesting stuff. Are you expecting a win?
I'm expecting a win. I don't think they will cover the spread because Miami never covers the spread. So I think it'll be less than 17 or 16. I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns, 14 or 15 points. But they won't cover because that's Miami. They just never do.
All right. Is there any important injuries that we know about going into this game?
Well, most of them are on the offensive line, but they're all backups. They're all guys that are not, part of that rotation right now. And you still got Trevante Citizen out. He'll probably be out to the middle part of the season. Mario discussed all the guys who had surgery. I'm sure there will be some surprises tonight because there always are, especially suspensions, right? We always have those before the start of the season. There's always somebody who gets held out because they did something stupid over the summer. It just happened. So I would just tell Miami fans, you know the drill. You've seen this movie before. It happens. We'll see who's out at kickoff. I will be there tweeting out along with other reporters telling you when we hear somebody's out for the game.
Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. Cross your fingers. Pray for the best, Canes fans. Not going to be easy. And make sure you subscribe to The Athletic and support my guy, Manny. Manny, as always, appreciate you, my brother. And let's hope you're writing a happy story tonight.
Me too, brother. I'm hoping. I don't need any more of that 5-7 nonsense.
Oh, dude. No. And I want Mario to win, dude. Like last year must have taken a real toll on that dude, and I'm sure he's motivated to make sure that shit doesn't happen again. Yeah. I mean, that's not who he is.
You don't need to worry about the head coach. He's all in. I think this is about the kids and how they respond. So
it's time for results on his end too. He's got to show results now this season. Last year you get the pass, but this year, you're going to get a lot of criticism if there's any resemblance of last year, unfortunately. Manny, have a great week and enjoy the game.
All right, brother. You too. Take care.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Kane's Ware at Miami Fanware in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your InterMiamiCF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Kane's Ware, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.